Welcome to the October 2025 Virtual Digital Learning PLC. This short video will cover updates, new tools and strategies, and other things to help keep you in the know. This month, we're looking at a tool your students can use to get aligned feedback based on a rubric. Class Companion is a great way to have students practice short constructed responses, extended constructive responses, and AP-style FRQs. For any AI tool to provide meaningful and aligned feedback, you need to provide context. And when we say context, that means things like passages, writing prompts, rubrics, and sample responses. Including these allows the AI tool, whether it's Class Companion, Magic School, Brisk, or some other tool, to understand the expectations for the assignment and to provide feedback that will work for students. Let's take a look at what we think makes Class Companion stand out. The website is classcompanion.com. You can sign in using your Google account. The first thing we'll want to do is create a class. You'll name the class, choose a grade level, a set of standards, and the subject. You can create separate classes for each period if you wish, and then copy assignments to each one. The assignments for each class will have different links, so when you post them in Canvas, you'll want to label them appropriately. Once I've created a class, I'll click on it to create an assignment. At the top of the page, click the Assignments tab, and then click the Add Assignment button. You'll also see any assignments that you've already created. If you wish to keep assignments organized, you can also create folders. When creating a new assignment, we recommend using the Generate with AI option. With this option, you can specify standards and upload resources like passages, prompts, rubrics, and sample answers to speed up the process of creating the assignment. In the Generate Assignments box, I'll specify what type of question I want. In this case, I'm going to create a short constructed response question from the science textbook and also add in a reading passage from the textbook that'll help the AI understand what students are expected to have learned before they answer the question. I'm going to specify that I want a short constructed response and give it the question in the objective section, and then I'll drop the PDF of the reading passage into the context files. Then I'll click Generate and Review. Class Companion generated an introduction and then added my SCR below it. If I wanted to edit the question or the introduction, I can click on those sections. For example, in this case, I may want students to be able to answer the SCR without having the description from the PDF, so I'll click on the introduction and I'll delete the source. If I wanted to add an image, a diagram, or a video, I could add those here as well. For this question, I might slightly change the wording. The other thing I can do for this question that might be helpful is provide a sample response. I like the sample response from the textbook, so I'll include it here. I can also include the grading criteria for the question here, but we'll create a rubric for the SCR in just a moment. If I wanted to add more questions, I can click the Add Short Answer, Add Multiple Choice, or Add Essay buttons at the bottom of the page. Class Companion is a flexible tool that you can use to have students write around multiple aspects of a resource. Now that we've created our question, the next step is to add a scoring rubric. Even though I added the criteria to the question, I still need to create an actual rubric. You can create a rubric for essay questions and another rubric for short answer questions, but the rubric will apply to all questions of that type. So you might include something like the STAR ECR rubric for an overall rubric, but then give specific things that you want to be looked for about that particular prompt and the question scoring criteria. To add our short answer rubric, I'll click the Add Rubric button. I have the same options from when we built the assignment. If you've previously created an assignment in Class Companion, you can use the content library to copy a rubric from another one of your assignments. This time, I'll choose Generate with AI to make a new rubric. Because my science SCR has specific things that I want the student's response to include, I'm going to include the scoring criteria here. For this particular assignment, I'm not going to have the AI check grammar and spelling, but depending on your content area and the purpose of the assignment, you might want to leave these turned on. I'll click Generate and Review to let Class Companion build my rubric. I'll verify that the categories and scoring criteria match the scoring guide from the textbook and make any adjustments that I think are necessary. When I'm happy with my rubric, I can click Finish to save it. The final thing I'll do is adjust the AI and submission settings. Class Companion offers an AI assistant they call Ditto that appears in the bottom right corner that students can chat with while completing the assignment. Depending on the purpose, this may be helpful for struggling students who don't know where to start. But if I don't want students to interact with this chatbot, I can turn it off in the AI Settings tab. The submission settings in Class Companion offer a variety of options, including the ability to let students submit answers multiple times, adjusting when feedback becomes available, time limits, accommodations, and a variety of what they call response integrity options. Class Companion can disable students' ability to copy and paste, detect when students copy their response and then leave the tab, and even spot when two students submit identical answers. Choosing when and how to use these options are up to the teacher to decide for each individual assignment, but these could be helpful if teachers have concerns about how students are submitting their writing. For essay-type questions, students can also write their response on paper and submit a photograph of their handwritten essay. Class Companion will then pull the text and provide feedback just like if they'd typed their response. Now that we've looked at how to set up a Class Companion assignment, let's test it as a student to see how the feedback appears. I'll click the Preview as a Student option at the top of the page to get a chance to test out my SCR as a student would. I can type out my response to the question and then press Submit. Class Companion will then evaluate my response and give me feedback about my answers. Class Companion gives me feedback about each of the criteria and will attempt to point out where in my answer I met the criteria. In this case, I failed to mention the role of energy in a star's life cycle. Because I defined that students could submit twice, I'll update my answer and then resubmit to receive new feedback. Class Companion gives me updated feedback for my second attempt. When I'm happy with my assignment, I can click Publish at the top of the page. I can select which classes I want to assign the activity to, add due dates, and finally publish the assignment. To access the assignment, I'll click the Actions drop-down button next to an assignment name and choose Get Share Link. The Actions tab also allows you to edit or unpublish an assignment. The Share Link option will give me a link I can paste into Canvas that students will then use to navigate to Class Companion and complete the assignment. I also have the ability to share the assignment with other teachers so that we can each have a copy of the assignment to use with our classes. On the teacher side, I can view the responses of my students, the feedback from Class Companion, and any response integrity issues that may have occurred while the student was answering the question. I can then review the feedback with my students to help them build on their answers or to fix any misconceptions. As you're building with Class Companion, be sure that you're reviewing the questions and rubrics that the AI generates. Always test the assignment as a student to ensure that it aligns with how you would grade, and then check the assignment settings to make sure that they fit the way that you would want your assignment to flow.
Guardian now has a feature where you can merge classrooms. So for instance, if you have students that are all in different sections but are in your class at the same period, you could add those to have them in one class so you can view them all together. So to do this, you'll want to navigate to your GoGuardian account, which you can access through the Birdville portal, and then you'll want to be under the Classrooms tab on the left side menu. If you have not accepted your classes yet, then you'll want to accept your classes under Pending, and then they should show up under the Active area. To merge those classes once active, you'll just go to this Merge Classrooms button in the top right corner. And then from here, your classes should appear. Now, they are named based on the focus rostering. So if you're not sure which ones to add together because maybe they have all the same name, after the grade level, you'll also see a little number behind that. That's showing me the period that these students are in. So I can see here all three of these classes are 8th period, all of these classes are 7th period, and so on. So I want to select the three that are in the same period so that I can merge them together by simply checking next to them. My next step will be to name the classroom. So I want to give the classroom a description so that I know what it is. If you want to give it a description, you can, but this is optional. Then I'll click Next. The next option is where you can copy settings. So if I had individual settings for these classes, for instance, maybe I have a default scene set to certain classes, I can copy those settings over. So I can choose the one that has the settings I like or just choose one, whatever your preference is. And then I'll click Next. From here, it's just going to confirm that those are the three classes that I want to put together. And if that is correct, then I can click Create Merged Classroom. So now I have this merged classroom created and those independent sections are gone. You will also notice a new area that will open up after you merge a classroom that you can drop down and see those individual classes. So if you wanted to run them on their own, you can still do that under the merged classes. If for some reason you put a class together that you didn't really want together, or maybe you have a reason that you want to separate them again, you can see which classes are merged here. And in your settings, you do have the option to delete and unmerge this class. If you click this option, it will not erase the original classes. It will just delete this new one that we've made. So in order to do that, I'll have to click delete and then delete and unmerge class. So now those independent sections will go back to their own, and I do not have that merged sections area. If you have any questions, please reach out, and I hope this helps.